Okay, so here we go. This is my version of the southern tier. It would be day 15 of my ride combined from San Diego. This is the trip from Las Cruces, New Mexico to El Paso, Texas. And I'm showing this at about double the speed regularly that it would be at, I believe. And I guess the first thing you should notice is the sky. There are just a lot of jet trails in the sky. It really makes for a good looking background. Showing on the bottom right, of course, is my relive of the trip. And you can see the route that I basically took, the elevation change, and to where I ended the trip for the day. This trip was cut short because of a flat tire. I blew up my rear tire, the first flat of the trip, and it ended the day for me. I ended up going to a bike shop, getting the flat repaired, and I'll be honest with you, so you've seen where I'm going. I think all I was missing was the goo in the tire because I run tubeless tires. I think if I had just taken out the valve, put in 3 ounces of the goo for the tire, I would have been okay. You can follow reading along. I'm going to parallel Interstate 10 on the side road until I turn left and take a trip over the mountains that are on my left. This is it wasn't a high pass, but it was a pass, and you can see that by the diagram on the right. And above that is the basic route that I took. You can see where I turned left and went up over the hill and then down into El Paso. Right about where the corner is, turning south again, is the border. So I also pointed out just right now in writing to look at all the vapor trails. So I should also mention that this would be being filmed on my GoPro Max 360. That way I can give you a nicer view of the surroundings without taking my hands off the handlebars. You're not going to get to see the whole trip, but I have sped it up so you can see much of it. And I turn the GoPro on and off at different times because the scenery along here and along the route so far, a lot of it's been the same and very redundant. The downside to the road I'm riding on is there is no real shoulder. The upside is there's almost no vehicle traffic. So there was only one time in here where there was a problem and it didn't slow me down or anything. There you just see I just passed my wife, and she'll be following me again. I think the next time I see her is when I check to see if I can actually jump on the freeway. And they said, well, it was a conflicting thing. They said that there were no bicycles allowed, and then they turned around and said basically no bicycles on the road if they weren't on the shoulder. So rather than take a chance, I just stayed on this road because, well, it wasn't great, it wasn't bad either. It was just a straight shot to where I was going, so it really wasn't going to be much difference either way. I'm going south, and I don't remember which way the wind is going, but I believe I have a slight side tailwind. so that's benefiting me. And I believe that would account for my heart rate at 123, because if I was really stressing, I'd be between 135 to 150. Excuse me. So, other than, I think the sky is the prettiest part of this trip. And you'll see a change of, well, the reason some of these things don't appear to be in order is because I kept the writings that I did, but I sped up the video, so basically I compressed the video, and so it puts some of these out of order. So I suspect when I get to the border, I won't have a thing on the screen that says I'm at the border. And that's because I'm redoing this and slowly learning how to do it correctly. And trying different things to see if anybody ever likes one version over another. Now this video is only going to be around 30 minutes, but it's providing the entire day. So here's where I turn to go on the freeway, and there's actually a sign there telling me bikes not allowed and then bikes allowed on the shoulder. If you enlarge that, you can see that. Just crazy. On the right is a picture of where we actually spent the night before we started the morning. And it's also a cold morning, you can tell by the way I'm dressed. But after we got in, we were going to spend the night at the truck stop like we'd spent many of the nights. And we needed water, so we contacted our local church, and the church leader, which is called a bishop, invited us to come and get the water at his house and allowed us to stay on his property, which made it nice and safe and extremely flat. And the other upside of that is my wife loved all the animals he had, so there's a picture of her with all the different animals. They should be showing at different times in this video. Extremely nice person, and we really appreciate what he did for us. And well, there's one of the pictures I was talking about. So this one is showing off the pigs, because my wife really likes pigs. And currently we're passing a dairy farm. And now I should mention this road was constantly going up and down. Not extremely much, nothing too extreme, nothing hard, but it wasn't flat like the freeway would be. It was always going up slightly or down slightly. And there's a picture of the bike that I'm riding today, my Specialized Creo. So I take a break up here, and I just finished taking a break with my wife, and now I'm continuing south. And so the next time I'm really going to meet up with her is when we have lunch, and then I'm turning left to go up over this small pass. For bike riding, it was actually a pretty good road, but because they're doing repairs on it, at points the shoulder wasn't what I expected, but there was still a shoulder. And the cars were very good. They gave me plenty of room. So I kind of liked it. And again, it wasn't a steep grade going up that hill at all. And there my wife just passed me. So this is basically the scenery. not sure if we can see the mountains off in the distance. I can see them from where I'm riding, but things don't show up in the video that as clear as when you're actually looking at them. They seem much further away than they are. Again, if this wasn't a cold day, it would have been much more fun riding. And then bottom left of the video is some pictures my wife took. The one in the bottom left is at the very beginning of the ride, so these pictures will maybe out of order. This ride was following the ride from, I think, Deming to Las Cruces, and I had 25 to 30 mile an hour tailwinds, and it was at sometimes a little dangerous, but because I had a wide shoulder, I only had one time that I felt my bike blow a little bit. And so because I had a tailwind, it wasn't bad at all. So I'm kind of suspecting I will be coming up here on my lunch. You won't see me take much of a lunch, I don't think. But it's always good to have a break, and I am still upset that I didn't complete the ride and I got off and fixed my tire. I can't tell you, the bike shop that we went to was a great bike shop. It looked like it was brand new, and everybody there was extremely courteous, really clean. And right off the top, now I don't remember the name of the shop. It was in the northeast corner of the El Paso area, off the freeway that loops around El Paso over the mountains. And then, so again, according to this, I'm not near the. That's got to be close. Where I take a break. Now I do apologize because there may be a few times that the lines on the diagram and everything don't match up, and that's going to be because I don't know the area. So Garmin has 8-minute segments in Garmin. I'm sorry, GoPro has 8-minute segments, and rather than allow you to do a 30-40 minute segment and keep everything accurate, these 8-minute segments, you have to go in and put in the information where you're at. And I obviously make an error on some of that. Currently, I know it's accurate because this is one of the roads that I actually know is correct. So in between, though, I just given my best guess. So again, I'm taking off. I actually changed jackets. One reason was because I was sweating a lot inside the jacket. Thought I'd put the drier one on, and the other is that actually it had warmed up slightly, but it was still cool. So here we're going up over the pass, and we're starting into road construction fairly quickly. The road here was beautiful, and where they had a shoulder was nice, but some of it, like right here, doesn't have a lane marking. And here, where you have basically no lane, it improves very quickly. All I need is a shoulder about that width, and I do feel safe. So this isn't as bad as it looks. So took a brief stop here. I forget what I was doing, to be honest with you, but there was a reason for doing it. Now, one thing I'll note is with a 360 camera, there are two lenses, one forward facing, one back facing, and the camera is at an angle. The GoPro will automatically adjust for the horizon, so that even though it's on an angle, it doesn't matter, it'll adjust the picture. But right in the middle, between the two lenses, it breaks up. So if you look, you'll actually see my hand disappear if I reach up to turn it off, or maybe check and see if it's still recording. So there's a spot there. You don't see the mount for the camera, because the camera makes that part invisible. So that's not, this part of the road there was no shoulder, but that will be corrected fairly quickly. It shouldn't take them that long to fix the road, and that didn't last very long. In addition, there wasn't a lot of traffic, but there was a moderate amount of traffic on the road, and a lot of the vehicles were big vehicles. So I kind of lucked out at that very short distance not to have any big rigs go by me. But again, all the vehicles along this roadway were quite polite, and I didn't have any trouble with them. So a very gentle climb. I'm not sure what the grade is. My guess is 2 to 3%. If we get rid of that picture in the bottom, we can see what the grade is. I didn't put, the picture is actually from my trip going up to Alpine, Texas. But that's neither here nor there. You can see that we've gone 23 miles to this point, and it's taken us 2 hours, but that probably includes my lunch break. So again, this is a brand new road. It's going to have 4 lanes very shortly, and that will dramatically improve that road all the way up over the pass, and that'll make this road the best road to get around El Paso, in my opinion. The southern tier route actually takes you down through the city of El Paso, along the Mexican border, and through the city streets. I bypass that. I dislike that area. There's just way too much traffic, and when you start getting off in city streets, it makes it hard to find my wife. It's easy to be on different streets, yet be really close to each other. That may not make any sense, but it's just that's the way it is. And one of the reasons for that is we're using 2 different methods of finding where we're going. And because I'm the one that did the route, it was a lot easier for me. So I'm going to presume I'm really close to the top of the hill, or I'm just going down the other side. There was a point when you got up the top, you couldn't tell if you were going flat or if you're actually going down. And I wasn't looking at my bike computer to see that. And of course now I can't tell you because the pictures are gone. And I was just trying to entertain you with other pictures of other parts of my trip that I took, just to give you an idea of other videos I have out there. So if you don't know, I have and there's my wife, and I just rode past her. So she was just stopped there just to make sure everything was okay. She's going to go past me and wait for me at the border now. But yeah, there she goes. So one of the disadvantages of being old is that I forget my conversation I'm into when I get off track. But and so a little about me. I'm 74, turning 75 here in a couple of months. I've been bike riding for probably 50 years, and I enjoy it. Most of my life I've ridden a regular bike. Since I broke both my wrists and had a car stop in front of me in the bike lane, and then I took out the rear window. Shortly after that happened, I ended up having 6 stents put in my arteries and a pacemaker, and then more recently had a minor heart attack. So about 3 years ago, when I was about 71, maybe 71, I got an e-bike, and I found I really liked it. It's like being a kid again. So I can put out as much effort as I want, just as if I was riding a regular road bike, or I can put out a little less effort and ride about the same. So my average miles per hour when on a trip like this on a road bike would be about 17 miles an hour. And it's between 15 and 17, and that's probably about what I'm averaging. So for me, I'm just making it a lot easier on my heart. But this is a pedal assist bike, meaning that if I don't pedal, I don't get any assistance from the electric motor. Now the Specialized, I can get up to 80 miles on first level of assist on the bike, and then another 40 miles if I have the extra battery that they provide that can be mounted in a water bottle. There's my wife again. And when I ride a long distance like that, I do carry the extra bottle, and on days like this where I'm riding later in the day, and you'll notice it's like 1:30 in the afternoon, I will on occasion ride with the second level of assist, and you can see here I'm going 24 miles an hour, which would indicate, one, that I've got a tailwind, and two, I may be using that so that I can get going and make sure I'm getting to where I want by the end of the day. So up here shortly will be the border. I'll stop again. There's some pictures that my wife took, and there she is at the border, and the border sign is right there, which I believe is actually just slightly beyond the border. So the border is pretty close to where my wife parked, even though it's marked. So there my wife just took pictures, and we're on our way again, and we're riding down into El Paso. Now this road was a lot busier than I thought, but the shoulder was actually much wider than I thought most of the time, and it was a very nice shoulder, so I had no complaints at all. Okay, and off to my right you can see the mountain range that goes down into El Paso, and it was actually a very nice it was a good change of scenery riding alongside the mountain range. And I didn't have that since Tucson, I guess. Or when I went up over the mountain pass, I guess would include that, but it wasn't the same thing. So the plan was to meet my wife down somewhere where I was going to turn left, and we ended up altering our route. And this is one of the problems when you get into cities. You're trying to get around on the best road possible. You can see here I don't have much of a shoulder at all, but I get it back in a little bit. But I think I have 2 lanes, so it's still safe. But my wife went ahead of me, and I guess it was just shorter than she thought to when we got into the housing area, which we're at now. And so we messed up. And there's a picture of me in the bottom right at the Texas border that my wife took. So very soon, and I did cut out some of this so that it wasn't as boring, but we go right down into the northern part of El Paso, and we stop right where the freeway is that goes around the northern side of El Paso. That's a freeway that I use to bypass El Paso, and I really like it. So I'm talking to my wife because she doesn't know where I am, and I'm not quite sure where she is. And we're not familiar with this at all, so it's like bummer. That's not a huge problem. She ended up turning around to find me. And there's another picture of me at the border. So I just drove down to the freeway and parked in a gas station parking lot and waited for her. And it was only a couple of minute wait. It wasn't that bad. And you don't really see that. You just see me alongside the motorhome. And then I'm taking off, paralleling the freeway again that goes around El Paso. So what I did do, and we're coming up to the end of the video, and here's where it was. We're now turning back east and going alongside the freeway. And very quickly, and I messed up, I didn't turn on the video when I wanted to, but when I got to where I could get on the freeway, because there was no other road to get there, I got on the freeway and immediately had the blowout, and that ended my ride today. I'm really mad that I didn't just grab my spare bike and jump on it and ride, but I was more concerned that I needed to get the bike repaired before the bike shops closed, and I didn't know how long that would take, because a lot of bike shops won't work on your bike right away. This one, of course, did. And it was very nice. So as soon as you see me jump on the freeway, and we're still paralleling the freeway here. I think my wife jumped on the freeway sooner than planned, and she headed on out. And that's one of the problems when I got the flat and called her. She was way down the freeway, had to find a place to turn around and then come back and then get to me. But if it sounds like I'm complaining, I'm not. There is no shoulder here, and this is probably for today most unsafe part of the ride, but it wasn't bad at all. It may have seemed worse than it really is. So again, thank you. If you would, please, if you like it, just give a like to the video and visit my website, Crime Cycle, on YouTube. Thanks, and have a good day. Sorry this wasn't longer.